Hello everybody, thank you for coming. Some familiar faces, we can see you. My name is Mike Garcia, and today I'll be talking about the benefits of yoga for rehabilitation and recovery, whether it's injury related or drug and alcohol treatment. So, almost every athlete will suffer some sort of injury in their lifetime or career, but how they recover, prevent it, will greatly affect it on whether the injury develops into a more serious condition or if it just becomes a recurring problem in the future when you get older. And yoga has been proven 92% effective in assisting the rate of recovery across a wide range of types, especially for drug and alcohol rehab treatment. This is because yoga releases tension and aggression, and it shares many of the same goals as a 12-step program. So when using yoga for drug and alcohol treatment, they go into the core of addiction, which is the inability to cope with difficult thoughts or emotions. And yoga teaches the use of controlled breathing to help you gain control of those thoughts. So achieving a balanced peace is one of the central parts of the 12-step program, because a person with addiction is going to carry a lot of anger and guilt themselves or others. And with yoga positions, it expresses acceptance, because in a 12-step program, one of the main parts is accepting your failures. And so one of the techniques is deep breathing. And if everyone wants to breathe with me, it's in through your nose and out through your nose. And it's at the same time, the time it takes for you to inhale should be the time it takes to exhale. You want to start it low, throughout your chest and throat. So. And yoga also emphasizes a spiritual connection. So some poses, such as the dead corpse, will emphasize meditation, which is a huge part in yoga. It's not just working out your body and stretching and getting as much flexibility with the exercises. So dead corpse usually is used at the end of a yoga routine. Some notable celebrities that have used yoga for treatment, whether it was during rehab or after rehab to help them. Robert Downey Jr., he started at a very early age of 6 with drug abuse. Colin Farrell, and also Russell Brand. Russell Brand is actually starting up a class in, I believe it's California, for people who are recovering from addiction. Now I'm going to go into injury-related yoga. This is popular among senior citizens, as 65% use a style of yoga for its ease and lack of pressure on the body. And I'll get into it. It's called Hatha yoga. With this yoga, typically a 180-pound male will burn about 115 calories, while a 150-pound male will burn about 85. According to a recent survey, out of all the people that use the style to recover, the top 2 were back injuries and knee injuries, with 50%, 35%. The rest were arms, shoulder, neck, with 75 and 3%. So, in the background of Hatha yoga, it's students in a class practicing the reclining bound eagle pose, which is also called the bound butterfly pose. Hatha is also often used to describe gentle, basic classes with usually no flow between poses, but these days most instructors will have a flow within poses instead of just doing one at a time, just because it just makes their class flow better. And it involves, like I said earlier, some simple breathing exercises and perhaps seated meditation. So for back injuries, experts suggest that the Hatha yoga, which I mentioned, is the best thing to do. It's gentle but strengthening. And I have a clip on a mountain pose. It's one of the most underrated poses in yoga. And if everyone would like to stand, you can take off your shoes. You don't have to, but you can just watch the video. I'm just going to follow along. This man, he explains it way better than I do. So.
Stand with your feet hip width apart, so the outsides of the feet are almost parallel edge. Press and spread the toes into the floor. Feel the weight of your body This gives you a stable foundation, and by positioning the pelvis properly, keeps the spine healthy. Now extend the spine by slowly inhaling, lifting up through the legs as you lift the rib cage, opening the chest, and dropping the shoulders down, extending the neck, keeping the jaw and eyes soft. Bring the shoulder blades into the back to support the rib cage. Breathe slowly and softly. Keep your head directly over your shoulders and look at eye level at a point in front of you. When standing in mountain pose, the mind is quiet and the body strong and still, like a mountain. This is a pose you can practice in your daily life. Practicing to stand correctly will have a profound influence on your physical and mental well-being.
Simple, right? Very simple, but it does combine meditation along with posture. I'm sure you feel a lot better. All right, to your handout there, you do.
Rehabilitation.
Uh-oh.
Continue standing in mountain pose.
Let us do it.
Yeah, we can. You guys want it? Okay. So this is from Harvard Health Publications, Harvard Medical School. This is an article talking about chronic low back pain, and it was published in a journal called Spine in 2009, and says that yoga can reduce pain and improve function in people with chronic low back pain, which is very common in the United States. Yengar yoga, which is mentioned here. You can see a picture and description. It's a type of hatha yoga that it sometimes uses props like rolled up towels, blocks, and it's used it emphasizes precise physical alignment, because technique is everything. You can't force a perfect pose on yourself. And in the West Virginia University study, they had 90 adults do a year-long trial comparing the effects of this yoga therapy with standard medical care, so that would be their control group. And at the end of 24 weeks, there's a 29% reduction in functional disability, 42% reduction in pain, and 46% reduction in depressive symptoms. Continue reading the rest of that in an hour after. And then second most common injuries that people use for yoga is the knee, which is I think 35%. Once again, hatha yoga, it increases the blood flow and strengthens your quad muscles. And it's just like working out. Increasing blood flow allows more oxygen and nutrients to be delivered to the area, so it helps speed up your recovery. And in a study in 1999, there were a series of exercises were used on morbid obese test subjects, and 100% of them reported a decrease in discomfort after doing the exercises once a day for 2 weeks. Dhanasana is just an example of how to strengthen your knees. It's just a staff pose, you're seated. This is just one of many exercises you can use for your knees. I chose this one because it involves a prop, like I mentioned before with the Yengar yoga. So you can put your back against the wall if it's more comfortable, but usually you want to practice your straight back. So usually beginners would use a straight wall. So you roll up a small blanket or a sticky mat and place it under your knees. It'll prevent hyperextension. And then what you want to do is you want to lift your right leg out, like kind of lift your knee, and you want to like rotate it 10 to 15 degrees, and then you will feel the inside quadricep contract. So you want to hold that for 8 to 10 seconds, and release, and then repeat it for about 2 or 3 more rounds, and then you'd switch. Warrior 1 and 2, very popular among all yoga classes. As you can see, technique is everything. One of the most important things to look at when you're doing this is your alignment with your knee and your ankles and feet. right there you can see the knee is directly above the midline of your foot. So, you know, if you won't do this, but you want to have it over your ankle, right in the midline. Some people will lose balance, go towards their pinky, or to make it easier on themselves, will go above their big toe. That'll cause a lot of strain on your knees rather than helping it. And so there are also variations of this. People typically use a wider stance to help them balance better. So in conclusion, yoga has been shown to be more effective in many cases of injury, and is a valuable tool for people who do not get much exercise. And it's because it is the most careful of all styles of yoga, while it still builds strength and flexibility. It's also used for people that are too overweight to perform other activities. Because too often today, yoga is shown to be an elite form of exercise. You'll see through pictures and videos that these people are super fit, barely any body fat. So it's kind of intimidating, but just know yoga is for everyone. And in my experience, I started yoga with Elizabeth's class in the group fitness practicum, and I loved it ever since. This past summer I did it a lot, and back in September I did a 5K, and days before I practiced yoga, and the day of I did practice yoga. It was my stretch routine, and I didn't have any knee pain or ankle pain that I usually have, or back pain, so I love yoga.
Mike, was that, you said the calories that were burned earlier for male and female, was that for like one class? Like an hour class or
Yeah.
something? Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I read a lot of articles. I should have posted that article as well.
Impressive.
Because usually after a yoga routine, some people are sweating a lot, even after a 25-minute class.
If you're doing yoga for an injury, does it matter if it's like regular yoga or hot yoga?
It depends a lot of it. You want to get advice from your doctor first and foremost. So I'm not a doctor, so I can't really answer that. But it's a great question because